Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Adeptus Ridiculous podcast. My name is DK Diamantes. His name is Bricky. And today, I have been assured that this episode will not go longer than an hour. But before we get into that, if you enjoy today's episode and you want to support the podcast, head over to patreon.com/Adeptus Ridiculous, where you can get access to our Discord, bloopers if they happen. The $15 tier gets you access to all of our posts in crispy digital HD format. It's amazing. Patreon.com/Adeptus Ridiculous. And Bricky will tell you things, but I think Shai has a message for me to read later. So Bricky, just go through your thing while Shai does the...
Hey, if you want to get the merch, check out the merch at orchidate.com. Also, you should double check it and double check that description, because this June, it's a new month. We are actually going to be doing a big summer sunset and shame sale. This is very simple. Long story short, we are going to be dropping a lot of the older designs from way back when. And so there will be a link with a lot of old Adric designs and other various things that we are going to be retiring. June is the last month you can get them before we just move straight on out. And also we have a thing we're doing called the Shame Sale, which is very simply products that have little minor imperfections and other small changes like that we are also dropping for half off too. So, you know, maybe one of the prints had like a little side of the print that didn't quite make it on the, I don't know, it's a little faded. So
or like the text is a little slanted.
Text is a little slanted, like, all that kind of stuff. So we're doing it. It's the pile of shame, hence the phrase.
That's actually really good.
I thought it was pretty all right. So those are all half off. Big, like, just if you want to snag them, like you don't care about some minor imperfections, you want to get yourself some merch, go ahead and snag them. They are, just a notice, there are no refunds on these because of the nature of the sale. So check them out. They are, I'll have both, I'll give Shai both links in the description for the summer sunset and the shame sale. And we'll drop them down there.
But Shai does have a message for me to read. This is an update on fantasy. Patreons voted for us to cover all the fantasy, from original to End Times to Age of Sigmar. So that, ladies and gents, is what we are going to do. The first episode will launch in July. Right now, we're going to do research and preparing new art and music. The podcast will launch under the name The Realm of Ridiculous. Hammer of Ridiculous just didn't have that Dracula flow to it. And last, but most unfortunate of all, we just physically have no time in our schedule to also do Detective Ridiculous, so we will have to kind of table that for now. It's not like a forever cancelization, and we might go back to it if we figure out how to make it work, but since I am going to have to literally learn fantasy well enough to, like, somehow try to teach it to Bricky, it's going to be a time consumer, and we also don't want to, like, bloat and dilute the channel too much with 3 separate shows, since this is primarily a 40K podcast. However, the good news is we want to end Detective Ridiculous with a bang and not a whimper, so we will release 2 more episodes this month, and they will be 2 of the more popular, bigger, hotter true crime stories ever. So look forward to Detective Ridiculous being sent off with a loud...
I also would like to point out that I think with these last 2 episodes, this puts us at 25 episodes of Detective Ridiculous, which would be the original April Fool's episode, and exactly 2 years, 1 month each, exactly 2 years of Detective Ridiculous. So I think it's holy crap, I can't believe it's been that long. But it is a perfect, just like a solid like,
a nice end number.
Nice end number.
2 years. Especially for something that was just supposed to be an April Fool's Day joke to kind of mess with you, that it turned into a 2-year stint is kind of crazy. That's kind of wild.
June is the best month, DK.
Why is June the best month?
It's my birthday month.
Oh, that's right.
Therefore, it's the best.
I have a gift idea for you that I came up with that I think is just poggers.
This is going to be the last year of my 20s.
Ooh,
It's
really?
Yeah, I'm turning 29. It's finally going to happen.
Ooh.
Did you know that people who are
man?
People who were born in 2003 can drink? Like, it's just, man, like the world is just, it's a time.
I hate that. I
hate that too.
I hate that. I hate that way more than you do.
To celebrate my special month, and nobody else's
now. Okay, all right. Happy birthday, Jesus!
We're gonna take a page, metaphorically and literally, out of something that I like to do, which is talk about the thing that I probably have the most, how would you say, passion for.
Oh, so we're doing a Sister's Feet episode.
I knew you would only take like half a second before.
Yep. Sorry. Go ahead. What are we actually doing?
We're actually okay. I mean, if it's not Sisters, which other faction would it be?
That'd be the Guard.
Oh, okay. Good choice. I was gonna go Chaos Space Marines.
Wow, really? Oh, well, yeah, I guess because Night Lords. It's
I don't know. It's hard. Sisters, Guard, and Night Lords, they're all like equivalent. It's really tough to pick.
That would have been a good one too, Shy. Should have said, "Oh yeah, we're mommy doming him in our VTuber avatar forms." That would be a good one too. Yeah.
The hell you mean we? You are not part of that club. Not even Shy's part of that club.
Well, no. But your thing these days is getting mommy dommed by VTubers.
I did
so
not
we were like,
choose
if for your birthday, it's like, oh, let's make Bricky feel right back at home, and like we'll put on our VTube avatars and just like bully you, because that's your thing now, right?
God damn it! God damn you, DK! I just wanted to pull out this wonderful Chaos Space Marine Codex and talk about the Chaos Space Marine Codex in the classic Bricky talks about the cool things that it's a. He's pulling his cock out.
He's pulling out.
I'm taking the goddamn codex, and we're doing a Bricky talks about the codex and the things in the codex and the lore in the codex thing episode.
Oh man, my guesses were so close. God, I was so close on both accounts. Damn it!
I wanted to talk about this because for the most part, back in like 9th edition and stuff, I would do an episode like the new something codex came out. Let's talk about the interesting new lore in it. Sure. I did the Necron one, and they had those really fascinating glimpses of like the Silent King and stuff like that. Now, as I was going through the Chaos Space Marine Codex and I was reading this whole thing out, I was like, okay, there's like not really anything interesting in here. Because Games Workshop has slowly made their codexes worse.
Because there's only 4 people working on them.
Pretty much.
All
right. So back in the day, we're talking 5th through 7th edition. Now I played in 7th is when I started, but that was a while ago, and I only played for a little bit. But that's when I first got into the game. My first army was Grey Knights. I still have a couple of them here. They're painted horribly. They're very funny to look at sometimes. I feel very proud of my current self when you look at your first couple of minis, the usual.
I was going to say, the first set of minis usually is just like the benchmark, right?
7th edition, there are going to be, hey, listen, to our fans, I love that you guys are nostalgic for the old days, but every time I used a drop pod and I rolled scattered dice, and my drop pod accidentally landed on an enemy unit and killed my entire force in the drop pod, because that's what 40k was like back then. I don't love it anymore.
Your drop pod lands on an enemy and your drop pod just gets destroyed with everything in it, not like the enemy getting smushed because, it's a drop pod.
So back in the day, when you would roll like reinforcements or something like a teleporter or whatever, you would pick a point on the field, and then you would roll something called scatter dice, which would be a number and a direction. And then it would be like, okay, you have to move this many inches in that direction because of warp fluctuations or whatever the reason. What old 40K sacrificed gameplay for fun lore stories.
So it was much more narrative than it was gameplay.
It was extremely more narrative. And a lot of people miss that. And I can appreciate that. I think one of my biggest issues with 10th edition is that it became a little bit too game and not like
narrative enough. There's not enough lore driven reason to do stuff.
Yeah, which is actually the reason why I like the CSM Codex so much, because I think they do a better job with it. But back in 8th is kind of when, back in like 7th edition, they had some cool things. They had like this funny ice cream cone looking template you would use. And that would be when you would fire flamers. So it's like a torrent, like flamer cylinder that you would fire out. And every enemy that was underneath it would get hit by it. It was very complicated and complex, but it was narrative,
Yeah.
8th edition is when the game it got a massive rules rewrite. And while it was still not a very balanced game, it was way better than before.
Okay.
And could actually be learned by people without like a degree. But with time, the codexes have actually gotten smaller in general size. When you had your codexes back in the day, it was about 80% lore and art and about 20% rules.
Ooh, I like that. I like that ratio.
Same. Loved it to death. Thought it was awesome. Was really like the lore for the game. Obviously, they had the books and stuff, but outside of the books, this is kind of where you got your faction lore, was the Codex.
Okay. Okay.
8th edition, like late 8th, and also early 9th, were the two times where they had, generally, in my opinion, the best ratio for codexes. There was a ton of brand new artwork. They furthered the story. They furthered the characters. They had factions. I vividly remember all of that amazing like Sisters of Battle artwork of them looking like disgusting and just awful. That was like 9th edition Codex. That's where they really came into their own with, I think, a ton of great art. And like lore and just, but now personally, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna ask, how often do you get like new codexes? Like, is it just every edition? Like, Chaos Space Marines will get a new codex that needs like new lore, new art, new rules.
Correct. Shai, you want to read what Shai said?
Shai said, LMAO, one of the reasons why Fantasy died, factions would get codex like once every 7 months. Some factions never even got last 8th edition codex before end times, and game got wiped.
That
Ouch.
Sounds about right. I also assume they didn't get any general rules updates along with it, because at least, even though Games Workshop does not update the rules nearly as much as they should, they only do it like every 3 to 6 months. They still do it, which is enough of a difference.
Yeah. 7 months. Sheesh.
Yeah, so there are like some factions right now. Like, it's been about a year since 10th edition started, and some factions got their codexes. Like CSM just got theirs, Custodes got theirs, Orcs got theirs, but like Sisters is coming up, I think, in 2 weeks. Guard, nowhere in sight yet for Guard. No World Eaters, no Death Guard. Like they'll be there eventually. In 10th
Sisters
edition,
is coming out just almost in time for your big day.
For my birthday. Yeah, you're
for your
right.
Big day almost.
Hey.
It's close. Damn, maybe they'll have some foot artwork in there for you.
Why are you the way that you are?
I don't know.
Okay.
I wish I could tell you. I really do. It would solve so many issues with my life if I could tell you why I was the way that I was.
That being said, with the 10th edition codexes, they have really started to run away with not putting any new lore and art in it.
Oh, no.
It's been getting way thinner, all of these books. 8th was a brand new system. They totally changed the game. 9th changed the game again, but they just like fixed a lot of the tweaks and made a lot of adjustments. And don't get me wrong, it still had problems, but it was way better. And then COVID, boom, blast off. Everyone started making minis. Huge thing, right? But now we've gotten to the point where like digital rules, man. This game changes too often for you to be still spending half of your codex putting rules that are going to change. You know, like it just becomes a gigantic paperweight. Sure. And so if you're going to buy
a new one every year,
right? If you're going to buy these like $60 books,
yeah, like $60 for the codex.
It's insane.
Well, I guess they're pretty big codexes though, and they're full of art and stuff. Well, I guess yeah.
No, but they're not full of art anymore. But they're not. That's the problem. Like they have some, but they have like half of what 9th edition had. Like in this CSM book, this is Chaos Space Marines. It is arguably the second thickest book that will ever be released because it is Chaos Space Marines. It is
it's a Space Marine thing. Even if it's Chaos, it's still a Space Marine thing. It's going to be big.
There are only 51. Hold on. Not 45 pages in here dedicated to lore and art. 45 pages of this $60 book that are dedicated to lore and art. And then
how many total pages?
52 159.
Oh, so not even half.
No, barely a third.
Ouch.
A third of this book is dedicated to rules, army painting, and data sheets that will most likely change.
So they're not even just copy and pasting the lore and the art from previous ones and just putting it into like new codex rules. They're actively taking stuff out of previous codexes, thinning it out, and then putting more rules in.
Don't worry, they're still copy pasting it. They're just thinning it out at the same time.
Ouch! Oh.
So what makes me upset is when I buy this book in order to get some cool lore stuff for an episode, I realize that there really isn't any. There's a little blurb about a Black Legionary going and murdering some guardsmen and laughing his ass off about it, which is great.
Yeah. Well, he should. He's a Chaos Space Marine. Why? Like, of course,
he has a great time
with
this.
Guard. Yeah, I'm sure he has a wonderful time, but that's nothing new.
There's a great little sequence with Vashtor that kind of doesn't really further his plot, but kind of talks about what he's been up to. He's in the webway with Wormwood, the giant planet, and he is being a huge menace because the Imperials cannot track him quick enough because he's in the webway.
Yep,
and so he shows up
for the door to use his fancy new key on.
Yep, he's looking for the lock. Yep. So he shows up to an Imperial world, murders the hell out of it, and by the time the Imperial reinforcements arrive, he's already gone.
What a Chad. What a
pretty good stuff. Even the Eldar are like having a hard time tracking him because he's doing webway and warp shenanigans at the same time.
Oof. Not even their binoculars will help.
Again with the Farseer jokes.
Yep.
There is
scratch that off on your bingo card.
So, like, you know, for the most part, when you go into a codex, you see there's a page about Daemon Engines, and they tell you about Daemon Engines, and a page about the Alpha Legion, they tell you about the Alpha Legion. There is, I will give them some credit for this, there is a very neat little section of there really isn't much lore in this codex, which is very unfortunate because we've talked with Warhammer Podcast a bit about this, but the idea of, like, make your codexes fancy art books, give them a code in there that allows you to, like, get the app that allows you to, like, get the rules for the app.
Yeah.
But after that, you know, like do the rules digitally. Like, that's just how it should be.
That is such a good idea, by the way. Like, turn the codex into like a giant art lore book, and it's like, oh, hey, on like the first page, it's like, here's a QR code. It takes you to the website. Here are all the rules. That is a much better idea. And I think they'd probably sell more codices that way, honestly, because if there was like a Thousand Suns codex where it was just like, oh yeah, it's just a giant book of Magnus, Ahriman, T-Sun, Zangor, whatever, art, and just a bucket load of their lore, I'd buy that in a heartbeat. And I'm just like, oh yeah, if I want to learn the rules, I can just QR code that thing and go on the internet and get it. Dude, I'd like, if that was $80, I'd no question buy it.
I generally think that it's, I don't know, there's a whole, we could spend an entire episode talking about this, but I did want to talk about the important thing here, which is translation of lore to game.
Oh, okay.
Lore to game.
Okay, cool. Because they do have a bunch of that, and it is cool when they do it, when they really, like, translate the lore into, like, a unit power or, like, a field thing or something. It is always really cool when you tell me about that stuff.
And so, just recently, for example, the Custodian Codex came out. And it is the worst codex I have ever seen. Like
I've said that. Yeah, I've heard you say that.
I have in all of, I'm not counting 7th, in all of 8th, 9th, and 10th edition is the worst codex I have ever seen. It has barely any lore. It's uninteresting. It had 4 detachments. One of them does not even. So basically, what happens is that the game, when you play a faction, you get a detachment. And a detachment gives you a rule, some special abilities called stratagems, and some enhancements, which are fancy things you put on characters.
Okay.
And so if you were to say run, like for example, in this book, we have the Veterans of the Long War detachment, which is the Black Legion detachment. So you can use your special ability, Let the Galaxy Burn. You can put your enhancement, Eye of Abaddon. And then your special ability is like a version of the Space Marines ability where you pick a focus of hatred and you get benefits against them.
Okay.
The
Sounds
Custodian one, normally you always got 6. The Custodians got 4. And one of them was only for Sisters of Silence, which is literally 1 kit. So they only got 3 and they suck.
Oh, wow.
So it's just awful. It's just genuinely like the worst codex ever. And then they drop this bitch, which is like the coolest thing I've ever seen, and is the best rules to lore combination and effectiveness I have seen in the entirety of 10th edition. Because when Custodians got 4 detachments, this one's got 8.
Oh, that's beefy in comparison.
Normally you only had 6. And so this one has 8, and they're awesome. Now,
oh, man. So Custodians players are proper pissed at this point then, because they're like, we got basically 3, and then the next one with Chaos Space, they get 8?
The Custodian, also the 3 they got are also still bad.
Yeah, they're all still awful, and it's like, these guys get 8, and then they must be like seething, maulding, and I don't know if I could necessarily say I blame them.
Honest to God, life is just terrible as a Custodian player right now. Because if you're like a normal human being and you just don't really care about the drama and discourse, and you just wanted to play your Custodians, not only is the entirety of your faction surrounded by annoying like people still talking about it on the internet, but you also have a terrible book. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Life is just like Custodian players. Thank God that the army is cheap because you can go find a new one.
I was going to say at that point, you just stop being a Custodians player, right? And you're just like, oh, what's my favorite Chaos Space Marine faction? Or, oh, what's my favorite,
Orcs.
Yeah, just go find anything else.
Yeah.
Oh,
you
man.
put it on the shelf for a little bit. But anywho, so the factions that you get in CSM Codex are the Veterans of the Long War, which are, they don't actually give like the title. They just give it like a faux name, which is Black Legion. You have Deceptors, which is, can you guess?
It sounds like an Alpha Legion thing.
Correct. You get Renegade Raiders, which is Huron Blackheart and the Red Corsairs.
Ooh, love that.
You get the Dread Talons. You can probably guess that one. Dread, fear.
Yes, of course I can. That's the Night Lords, I suppose?
Yes, correct. You have the Fellhammer Siege Host.
The Fellhammer Siege Host. So that's got to be, I'm going to say either Iron Hand or Iron Fist because I keep mixing them up. I'm going to say the Hand.
Okay, Iron Hand is a loyalist. Iron Fist does not exist.
God. Oh, really?
It's Iron Warriors. Oh, God damn.
Oh, no.
Woof.
Oh, no.
Can you tell me which one Pact-bound Zealots could be?
Oh, no. I'm still reeling psychically from what just happened, so could you just give me a minute and just say what the next ones are, please?
Sure. Pact-bound Zealots is Word Bearers. And Chaos Cult is also a funny new one they decided to make, which is entirely about running nothing but cultists.
Oh, that's pretty great, actually.
So, for the most part, the Chaos Cult one is kind of a meme. They often put like a meme faction in these for just like, you know what, you want to run something wacky, You want to run like nothing but cultists. Here's your little cultist attachment. That's what the meme one is.
Someone's gonna run it. Someone's gonna figure out a way to run it, even if it's like a meme thing. Ooh, oh damn! These new cultist minis are real sick. What the?
Okay, those are actually like insanely sick though.
Yeah, like all of them. Like there's not like a bad mini in the bunch.
Yeah. So, I really like. I really, really, really like the new accursed cultists. They are the ones with all of the awesome, like tormented mutations.
Yeah. What's the one on the bottom left that Shy put? Is that them? They kind of look like mages and stuff, and one of them's got a tentacle, and they've got like the big staffs and stuff.
Those are called the Dark Commune. So in cultists,
I love them.
In the cultist part of the Codex, there are 3 current data sheets or things. There's the cultist mob, which are the top right. They're your classic dude person cultists. You've got the accursed cultists, which are the bottom right. They are a mixture of things called torments, and I forget the other ones. Basically, they're 3 big boys that are all mutated, and then like 6 or 5 small boys.
Those mutations are very cool, though, actually. Those are really dope.
Those are really, really cool.
Oh, man. And those big minis, oh, wow, the torments are so rad. Holy.
And so then you also have a character leader group, which is the Dark Commune, which is the bottom left. It's a 5-person cultist leader, and they give like benefits to the cultist mob.
Oh, those are all so rad. Holy Jesus.
So basically, I guess we'll start with the Chaos Cult because it's kind of mediocre. It's like a meme list.
Sure.
Basically, so the rule that you get for cultists in this thing, or sorry, not the cultists, for Chaos. The Chaos rule is called Dark Pacts. It's my favorite rule in the entire game. I don't think anyone does it better besides like maybe my Miracle Dice, but that's a sister's thing.
Of course.
Basically, before you shoot or fight, you can get a benefit to make your weapons better. If you do, though, you need to roll 2 dice, and you need to pass your leadership. If you don't, you take a bunch of damage.
Ooh.
Because you're basically asking the dark gods for help, and they're and like literally making a dark pact with the gods. And
so if you
might
fail, the gods are just like, no, I hate you. Burn. And you just take a shitload of damage.
So regardless, you still get the benefits, whether you take damage or not. But you might, like make a pact with the dark gods and try to shoot a bunch of guns, and then one of your dudes just like spontaneously explodes and dies because the gods are like, all right, we'll make a pact, but
you're not gonna like it.
Your will wasn't strong enough.
Okay. So it could be a suicidal pact.
Sure. It could be. And for example, like the Chaos Cult one says each time a damned unit from your army, which is the cultists, make a pact, they can also do it during the movement or charge phase or something, and that allows them to be able to, whatever it's called, it allows them to move a certain like extra bit, allows them to go faster or do stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
For example, there are other things like, and then like other cool enhancements, which is the cultist's brand, which is literally like arcane sigils you put on a dark apostle, and the apostle like pushes the cultist forward. A funny one is called selfless demise, which is when an opponent attacks you in melee and your cultists then die. You roll a dice, and if you roll a 6, they like cause problems to the enemy, I guess.
Oh, okay. So it's like a death curse.
It's like a death curse. Yes, a death curse.
Okay. So, the more I'm hearing about these rules, the more I'm like, if I actually played 40K, I might run these guys just because they sound hilarious and their minis look so dope.
So you
like
say
I might
that
not ever
now.
win, but like they're so cool and they just.
So you say that now, and but as we get going, some of the other ones are really fascinating.
Okay.
So the Black Legion as veterans of the Long War. Basically, there's a rule that Space Marines get called Oaths of Moment, where you pick one enemy unit, and then your whole army gets full rerolls to hit against it, which is really, really good. This is what they get in addition to the Dark Pacts. So they literally are, veterans of the Long War, which means they find an enemy and they're like, it's their focus of hatred is what they call it.
Very, very on brand, sure.
And so it's just like, hey, they will be the recipient of all of our damage. And so there's just things like that. And then you get like the Eye of Abaddon enhancement, which gives you extra command points whenever you destroy your focus of hatred on a 4-up.
Okay.
I've never seen that before. That's a dope symbol.
Oh yeah, the hourglass, and it's just about running out on the is that an Aquila?
Yeah,
and then the Chaos one
Aquila
on the other side, right? Yeah.
So they have other things. The Black Crusade is one of their stratagems. They have Let the Galaxy Burn.
I love that. Let the Galaxy Burn is such a great name for a Chaos Space Marine thing.
Bringers of Despair is a good one. So that one's fun. The Alpha Legion one, oh my god.
We do love a good Alpha Legion meme in this house. We do appreciate Alpha Legion shenanigans. Chicanery, if you will.
This might be the best version of lore to game they've done in 10th edition so far. Maybe it's tied with another CSM one. So they get something. So when you play a game of 40K, there are two parts of the map that you deploy on. You put your army on those sides of the map.
Yeah.
Some units have the ability called Infiltrate, and that allows you to place units in the middle part. Normally these are pretty good because then you can get closer to the enemy, or you can already
objective, right?
Or be on an objective, things like that. They have the ability Masters of Misdirection, which allows you to place up to 3 units of cultists and Legionnaire Space Marines in the center. And let me tell, each. So if you wanted to, you could stick a 20 blob of cultists and that annoying 5-man leader unit 3 times and just shove them in the front of the opponent.
Make them deal with it.
We were here the whole time. Because we're Alpha Legion.
Because we're Alpha Legion. You just didn't know it. We're just sneaky bastards. That is very fitting. I like that quite a bit.
You can also put 3 legionary units in there as well, because there were 3 undercover Space Marine squads also there the whole time.
Of course they were. They're Alpha Legion. Of course they were there the whole time. I do like that. That is great for the Alpha Legion.
So they've got a couple enhancements. One of them just makes it so that you can attack characters in a unit when you normally can't. So it's like an assassin thing. One of them, one of them's called Soul Link, which is super cool. Basically, you take a character and then you pick another character. They become a psyker and they get the abilities of the first character. Because they're both Alfarius. And they project their consciousness onto another individual.
Oh, wow. All right. That's pretty dope. I love the Soul Link. I love that.
The best one, though, is Falsehood. It is a Chaos Lord. And when you set this unit up in the reserves in the background, and then at any point and during the reinforcement step of a movement phase, you can pick one of your Chaos Space Marine squads and kill one of the guys in it, and then place your Lord in his stead because he was always there because we're all Alfarius.
Oh, wow.
And so one of the random guys is just like, I was Alfarius, by the way.
The whole time.
I was the major Chaos Lord. Here I am.
Here I am. Welcome to the party. You are right. That is probably the best, lore to gameplay thing I've ever heard. It's so accurate and it's so fitting. And Alpha Legion eating good.
They're eating great.
They are eating good in the neighborhood. Wow. How many people are Alpha Legion a relatively popular faction to play for Chaos Space Marines?
Not really. Normally they require a lot of like tricksy stuff.
Yeah.
I'd say
After
they're
this,
like,
though.
sure. I mean, they're not as like rare as like word bearers. Maybe Shy does have a full Alpha Legion army, so
yeah, but she's kind of weird too. Like, you know,
I have never fought an Alpha Legion painted army in my time at tournaments, though I have fought a lot of CSM.
Never.
Well, I mean, like I've only fought one word bearer, but they have a cool color scheme,
They do.
They have one great ability, which is when an enemy vehicle dies, normally you roll a dice, and on a 6, it blows up. You can use a stratagem to make it automatically blow up because you already sabotaged them and added explosives to their vehicle.
I mean, why wouldn't you?
It's great stuff. It's really great stuff.
It is. I like that quite a bit. Kind of makes me want some Alpha Legion, actually. Kind of makes me realize why Shy is like, oh yeah, I do have a full army of them.
Yeah,
they're
they are
quirky little guys. They're quirky little trickster guys.
Yeah, some people do paint like actual like snake scales on their Alpha Legion. I have no idea how they pull that off.
Well, that's like the people that paint Harlequins and are like, yes, let me paint these intricate checkerboards,
God, that's insane.
Yeah, that's wild. Holy Jesus.
The Renegade Raiders detachment for Huron Blackheart is a lot of bikes, and it's very much your whole army gets the ability to move faster and still shoot. And also, if there's ever anyone on like an objective marker, you do more damage to them because the whole point is like, you're Huron. I hate taxes. I'm going to steal from the feds.
Huron was made. Poor Huron. He tried to do the right thing.
Well,
stupid Imperium. And I would have kind of assumed that, like, I don't know why, but I didn't expect him to be bikes. I almost expected like sort of an Eldar Drukhari like skiff deal, where you got lots of skiffs and flyers roaming around and pirate ships and all that. I don't know why I didn't expect bikes for Huron.
They're more of like a really fast kind of hit and run style thing. Their goal is to arrive, get the prize, and then kind of leave.
So they're like Chaos White Scars almost.
A little bit. They're fun. They have mostly like not really uninteresting, but their abilities are rather normal. It's like go faster. If someone was in the range of objective marker, you can attack a character in it. You can disembark from a transport and stuff a little quicker. Like just general stuff like that.
Yeah, pretty on the nose. All right. Yeah.
In a typical case of normal stuff, the Dread Talons attachment of the Night Lords is not very good.
When is it?
Yep, that's the way it be.
Unfortunate.
I will say they do get a kind of neat rule, which is Terror Descends. And I like their little blurb here, which is bedecked in the flayed skins and leering skulls of former victims, their armor flecked with blood and gore, these reavers descend in a howling gale of enraged screams and soul-piercing shrieks. To look upon their ghastly visages is to feel a terrible and paralyzing fear.
Oh, wow. That is so fitting of a blurb for them. Holy jeez.
So it's mostly just infantry as well as jump pack units, which is pretty classic,
Sure.
But the main thing is that in 10th edition, there's an ability called Battle Shock, which makes it so that when you get shocked, you cannot hold an objective, and you also cannot use abilities and stuff like that on them.
Okay.
The only time you ever roll for a Battle Shock test is if you are under half your squad strength. So if you had a 5-man squad, if you only had 2 left, you would start rolling for it.
For shock, right.
Their ability is if you're within 12 inches of them, you have to roll it even if you're just under full. So 5 to 4 is enough. And you also have to roll it at another -1.
So that's pretty handy. That's actually like a Night Lord dub, right? That's huge.
So it's not bad. The issue is often that Battle Shock, It doesn't come up too often. It's very rare that it actually is important, but for the most part, most people have like a 6 for their leadership. So you roll 2 dice and you just need to get higher than a 6, which is not too hard.
Yeah.
But you like -1, it goes to a 7. Like, okay, there's some stuff.
Yeah.
Though they have particularly fun abilities where like relentless terror lets them like fall back and attack again. You've got warp field thrusters, which allows them to fly into unreality and like reemerge.
Okay, love that. Love it when they use big jump packs for stupid jump packy things. Love it.
There's depthless cruelty, which is if someone's battle shocked, you increase the armor penetration against them. Pitiless hunters, which does more damage against already scared people because they're night lords.
You know, say what you want about the rest of it, but God, GW are so good at like naming these abilities. Like, oh my God, they're so good. They're so on brand. They might not be the best abilities ever, but God, the names are so perfect.
The Iron Warriors one, the Fellhammer Siege Host, is at first look pretty insane, but then I realized so they have an ability where they become really tanky if you shoot at them because they're so iron within, iron fortitude. But unfortunately, it only works when you shoot at them and not in melee, which is unfortunate because they could have really used that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, if the thing works against shooting, you'd think it should also work against melee. I mean, because if your shit's gonna stop a bolter round, shouldn't it stop a chainsword?
Right. So unfortunate. Like I feel like it would change the entire thing because for a lot of their abilities, they have like Iron Artifice, Iron Bound Enmity.
Yeah.
They've got a great ability called Pitiless Cannonade, which is just like murdering weak people, brutal attrition, siegecraft, of course. Naturally.
Oh yeah, you gotta have a siege thing, and now our live chat is just everybody saying siege because
that's how it goes.
You're all a bunch of lemmings. Anyway,
pact bound zealots is word bearers. This one's kind of neat. When you have a unit, you can give them a mark of a particular god, and they get benefits based on that god. So if you're in Khorne, you have more powerful melee, but if you're in Slaanesh, you get more attacks in melee. Tzeentch and Nurgle are shooting maced. They've got a great ability called Skin Shift, which is a Tzeentch one where you regain wounds. But if you regain wounds regularly, but if you're Tzeentch, one of your guys just like reanimates their body back together.
Ooh, that's handy.
Yeah, there's a...
I also wouldn't have assumed that Nurgle would have been a shooting one. I would have like guessed that Nurgle would have been like, oh yeah, here's like maybe like an AoE effect around certain unit, and if you're in the AoE, maybe it's like, oh, it's the pox of the despoiler or something, and it just like kind of debuffs people around you in like a certain radius. I wouldn't have assumed it was a shooty thing.
So kind of. They use shooting in this one because it gives you more shots. So you're spreading Nurgle's sickness in a way. But you are not wrong. The enhancement is called the Orbs of Unlife, which is a hilarious name. Which is at the end of the fight phase, you roll a dice for everyone near you. And if you roll high enough, you bestow upon them pox.
Hey, look at me learning. I picked that one out. Let's go.
And then your stratagem ability is called Festering Miasma, which is basically just like they make them harder to shoot because of like a cloud of flies.
Okay. So when someone asks Nurgle, like, hey, what's the inhaler for? He can say it's for miasma.
It's all right. That was fine.
It was actually an old Saren joke that I used to use in the Warframe days, but I retooled it.
God damn you.
I retooled it for Warhammer.
So the last one that we have after the Chaos Cult one is the only one that I think really compares with Deceptors as the Alpha Legion, which is Soul Forged Warp Pack.
Ooh,
this is Vashtor's detachment. They gave him a detachment, and it's actually the coolest thing ever
Vashdor getting good? Let's go. Our wonderful little grimy oil boy is getting good?
So, unironically, yes, they made him better.
Let's go!
Is he good? I don't know.
Hey, baby steps, right? He's getting better. You know, you can't expect to leap tall mountains in one single, right? We're not Superman. As long as he's getting steadily better, that's the important part.
So, he's a bit tankier than he used to be. In game, he has an ability where demon vehicle units near him get increase the strength of their weapons by 1, which is okay. It's not bad. His hammer bops people pretty hard now. It used to bop people worse. So that's good.
Good.
There is the part is the funniest here, is that there's a rule in 40K called hazardous. And you get this rule if you like overcharge your plasma gun, or if you like go in the warp too hard. And basically it is if you're you fire, let's say, a plasma gun, and after you're done, you roll a dice. And if it's a 1, it blows up and kills you.
Yeah.
If you're a vehicle or a character, you take a bunch of damage because they don't want you to just immediately blow up from a single one.
Sure.
If you are within 18 inches of Vashdor and you shoot at him, all of your guns get the hazardous rule.
Ooh.
Because he's reordering reality.
Right, and that would totally be a thing that he could do.
Yes.
Sure.
So your guns
cool.
might just blow up in your face.
That's very handy. How close do you have to be to Vash? Is it like a big radius? Like, is it
18 inches is pretty big. That's pretty big.
Okay. Hey, good for you, Vashdor. That sounds amazing. Now people are going to think twice about shooting you.
So his detachment rule, though, is so cool. It's called Debt to the Soul Forge.
Ooh, okay.
Basically, every time a demon vehicle unit goes to make a pact with the gods, a dark pact, you can invoke your contract. And when you invoked your contract, you subtract 1 from the leadership test, making it a little higher of a chance of you hurting yourself. Mm-hmm. But if you do so, you either get way better shooting damage or more attacks in melee.
Okay. And sounds good.
So that's the point, is that you can invoke your contract with Vashdor. And if you do, you have a higher chance of hurting yourself, but you get even more benefits.
That's pretty cool. That's very lore accurate too, because you do have to kind of sign that contract with him, and that's okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So there are some fun ones like Tempting Addendum, which is whenever, if they're near you and you fail the result of your pact, you add an extra damage to the amount of damage you take, but you get even more benefits. So it's classic like mafia boss stuff, where it's like, hey, I'll give you even more power, but just -1 to the more damage if you fuck it up.
So Vashdor, it sounds like these detachments are a lot of high risk, high reward, though. It's like you risk taking a lot more damage, but at the other end, you will deal a lot more damage. So it's kind of like you kind of got to weigh the pros and the cons in the situation and see if you really want to do that.
Exactly. And also, they have ways to like mix it around, because you might get the ability Glut of Souls, which is for every model you kill in melee on a 5-up, you can regenerate some of the damage you took, which helps you if you keep invoking your contract.
So you can like invoke your contract and then do that glut thing and then just like regen any added damage you took from taking the initial contract?
Depends on how many people you kill and if you roll your 5-ups.
Okay. I'm digging it. I'm digging these rules. They're very Vashdor centric. Okay.
Yeah, Desperate Pledge is one of them. There's Feeding Frenzy. One of my favorite ones is Demonic Possession, where you can pick any regular vehicle and turn it into a demon vehicle, which therefore allows you to then like get all the benefits of invoking your contract.
Okay.
But on a vehicle. So these are all demon vehicles. So these are like Forge Fiends and Venom Crawlers and things like that. You can invoke your or you can become like a demon Land Raider, something that's normally not a demon.
Land Raider. Yeah, that seems really good. I like the sound of that. That sounds like Vashdor is, people are going to start thinking, hey, I can finally use this guy. He's not all trash. There's some big ups, there's risk, there's big reward. Hey,
It's
Adric
really
fans,
great
start
stuff.
playing Vashtor. We want to see an uptick in Vashtor.
But I wanted to look and point some of this stuff out because it's just damn neat.
It's nice to have a good codex, Rich.
It's nice to have a good codex and I'm like, I want to look at this because I'm chaos pilled and I'm Vashtor pilled, but I wanted to look at this and be like, my God, this beautiful book could use so much more lore and you could do so much better with your online rules and all this kind of stuff. But please, more of this. This is such a cool mixture.
Yes. I like how it started out with it. You were like, my God, this is so cool. And then it kind of just devolved back into your normal tone of voice. Like you started out with the monarchia. My God. More of this.
The word bearers. Oh, no.
Oh, my God. I wanted more of this. It was so good. It turned this man Italian. This guy, this codex right here was so good it made me crave the marinara.
There's a certain level of like hope because I know GW doesn't watch our videos, but there's a little part of me that's like, please God, more like this, please, anything other than what the custodians got, but please God, more like this because you did it. You meet the detachment minimum of 6, and that's great, and they're fun, and they're fluffy, and they mix the things they're supposed to mix, and even the ones that aren't good, like the Night Lords ones, still feel like Night Lords.
Yeah, they sound like Night Lords. They feel like Night Lords. So if you have a bad codex right now, how long do you have to wait for another one? Is there a new edition every 3 years? 1 year? How long are we talking?
Pretty much 3 years.
Ooh, so Custodians fans are... Oof.
Oh yeah, you might as well buy a different army right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just get something else, dude. Anything. Get Vashtor. Huh? Get Vashtor.
I mean, if you're going to clearly, I mean, this is all if you plan on actually going out and playing with a bunch of people and stuff who actually take it somewhat seriously.
Yeah,
if you're
you
playing
don't have to go meta chasing with your buddies. If you're just having a fun little let's have a 12-pack of brewskis and just play a little Warhammer. Play whatever the fuck you want, but yeah.
Yeah, and obviously, this won't matter as much to you if you're fighting against someone who's just kind of chilling as well, like you are. But goddamn, does it feel bad? Because the rules don't match what you want custodians to be. This one for CSM, these rules could be bad, and the army could not be just good at all. But they feel fun, and that's what matters.
It feels right. It sounds like even me. I don't play the tabletop, and I don't really know anything about the tabletop. But those sounded right. Those sounded good. They sounded like, hey, I get that. As someone that knows scattered bits. I don't want to say I know a lot about the lore because I said Iron Hands and Iron Fist earlier. Mm-hmm. But it sounds right. It sounds like it belongs. It's that's what they should be doing. And I don't know jack about it. So, it's a success.
It's a success. Times. Success.
Yeah.
All right. I wanted to talk. We don't do tabletop stuff very often. And so I wanted to get that part of me out there and express my feelings. Because God damn it, more of this. Anyway, that's all I got.
To be honest, though, I do appreciate some tabletop stuff getting added because I'm painting Thousand Sons and I'm if I get a full army of this, if I have it, I might want to learn how to use it. And having maybe a little primer episodes here and there is not a bad thing.
That's true. That's true. All right, that's all I got. Wait a minute, brand new Sisters mini. What?